Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan. I'm Dan Sloan, president of this organization. 5 months ago, we had the pleasure and honor to welcome our guest today, Israeli Ambassador Gilad Cohen. At that time, a ceasefire was underway between Israel and Hamas of a war that had began on October 7, 2023, with a surprise attack on Israel, leaving over 1,200 Israelis dead and 250 taken hostage. Since then, the death toll has exceeded 56,000 in Gaza. Separately, 2 weeks ago, Israel launched surprise attacks on nuclear sites in Iran. Tehran, in turn, launched missile and drone strikes on Israel. That was followed by U.S. bombing of 4 nuclear sites by the U.S., which has subsequently said, and it appears accurate now, that a ceasefire is in effect. It also claimed that the nuclear program of Iran was obliterated. Israel's defense minister said the strikes would neutralize the surrounding infrastructure, and as of now, we are seeing people return to Tehran. Separately, the prospect of the ceasefire, or the ceasefire between Iran and Israel, has raised some hopes and speculation that a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is possible. Just yesterday, U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff says there's a very good chance, or very close to such an agreement. Our guest today is going to speak in greater detail. The embassy has a handout for you on the state of affairs in the Middle East, and obviously with Gaza and Iran. So, with no further ado, Ambassador, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for having me. The world is a better and safer place today. The Operation Rising Lion had a tremendous success. And this was a preemptive strike by Israel. The intention was to stop Iran from enriching uranium for nuclear bombs. They had enough uranium, up to 60% enrichment, for 9 atomic bombs, and to damage their missile, long-range missiles and ballistic missile production, as they were trying to have more than 10,000 missiles in the coming 3 years, and 20,000 in the next 6 years. This amount of missiles is something that no nation can face. Iran is the #1 destabilizer of the Middle East and of the world, including here in Asia. For years, they are lying to IAEA, not abiding by their commitments that Iran is signed on NPT and others. And they are saying, we want only nuclear facilities, a nuclear program for peaceful purposes. And I'm asking, peaceful purposes? So why do you want to enrich for 60%? Peaceful purposes don't need 60% enrichment. Only nuclear weapon needs it, 16 up to more than 90%. Why do you hide it in bunkers? Why do you continue lying and defying the IAEA in non-compliance? And why are you producing thousands of long-range missiles to carry out these atomic bombs? It has only one purpose, which is destruction of the state of Israel. We know for sure that Iran had a plan to destroy Israel. First by atomic bombs, atomic weapons, then by thousands of long-range missiles, and by ground invasion that was planned from Hamas in the south and Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah in the north, and other proxies. So this ring of fire that Iran was planning was a destruction plan of the state of Israel. But this is not only about Israel. It's about the free world. It's about having their missiles being launched and being in a large scale, also to attack one day Europe and maybe reach until the United States and here in Japan. So what we did is not only for us, it's for the free world. Now, some people may say, you know, why not negotiations? Let's have negotiations, let's talk. Now, negotiations are not the goal. When you talk to someone and you have diplomacy, it's a tool. It's a tool to reach a goal. And the goal was to stop Iran from having a nuclear program. Now, the world, not only Israel, the world was talking to Iran for 30 years, asking them, putting Security Council resolutions, sanctions. The United States came in and said, let's talk. President Trump gave 60 days, let's talk about it. Let's see, but you cannot have nuclear weapon. And they refused. So sometimes negotiations don't work anymore. Sometimes you have to understand that that's it. Remember 1994, when the United States of America, President Clinton then, didn't want to attack North Korea at the end. He said, let's talk. Let's have negotiations. You can have reactors. And what was the result? 12 years later, a nuclear test by North Korea. So what we did now was in the 12th hour, the last minute, because we knew that after Hezbollah was cracked down, they were running for a bomb and they were running for more production of long-range missiles to attack Israel. So we are now, again, checking the results of this attack. And I can tell you, or I can quote Grossi, the Director General of IAEA, saying, it is clear that there is one Iran before June 13th, a nuclear one, and there is one Iran now. And it is night and day. Iran's nuclear program has been set back significantly. So this is what the IAEA has said. And what we did is acting according to international law, attacking only military targets, nuclear sites, and missile production. When you compare it to Iran, you see that Iran has attacked from civilians populated areas and targeting civilian populated areas. So this is something that defines terrorist organizations. And this is a terrorist state. I want to take this opportunity and to thank Japanese government for standing by Israel. The Japanese leaders have said Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Japan also, within the G7 statement, said, we affirm that Israel has the right to defend itself. Japan also said, Iran is the principal source of regional instability and terror. We have been consistently clear that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. This is a Japanese statement within the G7, and I thank Japan for standing on the right side of history. Regarding the United States, you know, Israel and the United States have always had a very good relations, strategic relations on political issues, Security Council, economic, technological, scientific, and others. But this is the first time also that the United States is standing by Israel, not only by defending it, but also joining an attack for defending Israel. And this is something that is under President Trump administration. The level of relations between Israel and the United States are unprecedented. It is now in the highest peak ever, and we thank President Trump and we thank the US administration and the US Army for what they did. This attack on Fordo and other sites created a massive, massive damage, and it destroyed the critical infrastructure of this site to have an enrichment facility to be useful in the future. And we believe that the American-Israeli attacks on all of the nuclear program of Iran had the setback of Iran to develop nuclear weapons for many years, and we intend to keep this achievement. I want to discuss regarding the axis. There is, Iran is cooperating with North Korea, with China, with Russia. We are monitoring in great concern the close relations between China and Iran, and we hope that this conversion of interests is not going to be duplicated or implemented also in cooperation within the long-range missiles program and nuclear program. China is assisting Iran in economic ways, in political ways, acquiring and buying oil, and giving the Iranians money, and backing them in the multilateral arena. As you might have seen, Russia and China supported Iran, and also they were the only one, or one of the only, that opposed the IAEA report that is saying that Iran is going or might be going for a nuclear weapon. They also condemned the activities of Israel and the United States. Now, I want to go back for a second for North Korea. You saw what happened with North Korea became nuclear. This is the point of no return. They are nuclear now. So it's very difficult to address it. This is why we said negotiations are over. Sometimes you have to take the responsibility for your own people, for your own nation, for the world to stop it. And the Chancellor of Germany spoke about it, and others, saying that this was the time that Israel did good thing for the world. We will not allow this threat or North Korea to be duplicated in the Middle East. And you saw rogue states in the past, like Iraq in 1981, like Syria, that we had to take what needs to be done in order to destroy their nuclear ambitions. This ceasefire, we got it, full cooperation with the United States. We thank the United States for their clear position, for defending Israel, and for their determination and action to remove the nuclear threat from Israel. Now, I want to talk about the future. We do not want to see a regional confrontation. Iran is the one trying to drag their proxies, Hezbollah, the Shiite militias, the Houthis, Hamas, and others, to attack and to create instability. And as you saw in the G7 statement that also Japan joined, that Iran is the #1 promoter of terrorism and instability in the Middle East. This is the G7 statement. So preventing Iran of having a nuclear weapon is not only in Israel's interest, it's a regional interest, and it's a world interest. The world, as I said at the beginning, is a safer place today. Israel is not going to allow to redevelop its nuclear program. We are not going to allow Iran to redevelop its long-range missiles program. Sorry. We are going to do everything in our power to defend our nation. This is a regime that said openly that Israel has to be destroyed. Their leaders are saying it repeatedly. Israel should be destroyed. Only in May, while talking to the Americans, the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei said Israel is a tumor that has to be removed. A trivia question. Who said it before, do you know? 90 years ago. The Nazis. The Jews are a tumor, are a disease that has to be cured or removed. So when you have the intentions destroying Israel, they're calling openly Israel had to be removed or wiped out from the map of the earth. And when you have the tools, which is a nuclear weapon, and the means to launch it, which is long-range missiles, there is no other conclusion but an act of self-defense of Israel to eliminate this threat. And I want to repeat, we are not going to allow Iran to develop, again, nuclear program or long-range missiles program. Please mark my words. We do want, in the future, to have peaceful relations with the Iranian people. The Iranian people, they are a great nation with a great legacy of more than 3,000 years. We don't have any fight with the Iranian people. They suffer under this tyranny of this regime, who is oppressing its own people, who is putting in Evin jail just political prisoners, who is killing and beating women not because they don't have a scarf, hanging homosexuals, depriving human rights from their own citizens. They deserve better. And we are reaching our hand to Iran, to the Iranian people, for in the future to have peaceful relations. We used to have an embassy in Tehran. We used to have direct flights. We used to have good connection before the 1979 revolution, Islamic revolution. But the Islamic revolution and Khomeini, when you want to gather support for a tyranny, how do you gather support? Because you are a tyrant. It's not democracy. You do it by finding an enemy. And the enemy is one, or let's say two. The little Satan, as they call us, Israel, and the United States of America, the big Satan. And from 1979 until today, they have never stopped threatening us and calling for our destruction, even though we don't have a border with them and we didn't do anything wrong to them. I hope that we can have in the future, as I say, peaceful relations with the Iranian people. Regarding Gaza, I hope that what we did now is kind of a new reality in the Middle East. And maybe it will be a point which will change the Middle East for the good, for more peaceful relations, solving the issue of Gaza, the war in Gaza. We do not want to continue with the war in Gaza, but we have to do it until two things are going to be met. One, release of our 50 hostages. 20 of them are still alive. Two, lay down the weapons of Hamas. Go out of Gaza or make Gaza not a hub of terrorism, but a place that Israel and the people of Gaza can live side by side. That's it. Gaza cannot be a hub of terrorism and threat to Israel anymore. Now, when those goals are met, we can go and finish the Gaza war. And I think that now we have the opportunity in the Middle East, because of the Iranian threat that is nuclear threat is over, not only for us, but also for the GCC, for the moderate countries, the Sunni countries in the Middle East. So maybe now, I don't know, maybe you heard what Witkoff has said and others, we can have, and also Prime Minister Netanyahu said yesterday night, that maybe we can have now a chance for a new dawn in the Middle East. This war can be, the end of this war can be the beginning of a new dawn in the Middle East. A dawn of friendship, of peace, of elimination of terrorism. And we are not going to allow Iran to continue with its vicious intentions of terrorism, missiles, and nuclear program. So I hope that Abraham Accords can be enlarged and can go beyond the countries that are now being part of the Abraham Accords. Israel is willing to reach its hand for peace with its neighbors. War is not the goal. The goal is to have peace in the Middle East, but peace when the Israeli needs of security are met. I call on Japan to join this historic moment and to stand by Israel that is working hard to promote this very big move or opportunity that we have for peace in the Middle East. I think Japan can contribute to it, and we can use the friendship of Japan to Israel and to the stability in the region. So I'll stop now, then, and you can have it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. A couple of points to note. We are live streaming on YouTube, and we are receiving questions from our online audience as I speak. The archive of this press conference will be available on its conclusion. And I do say this is a press conference because we are here, or you're attending as journalists to ask questions. There won't be any opportunity to make speeches or political statements. Please keep your question to one, if possible, and also identify yourself and your organization. As I mentioned, we have questions already from our online audience, but we will open now with those press in attendance here. If you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll recognize you. Well, if not immediate, I'm going to read on behalf of one of our correspondents who's in the room, Naoko Gocho. Could you just raise your hand wherever you are? Yes. And her question for you, Mr. Ambassador, is, after 12 days of direct, and she's with TBS, excuse me. After 12 days of direct fighting, Israel and Iran have now agreed to a ceasefire. Tensions remain extremely high, and strikes continue in Gaza. Do you see the Israel-Iran ceasefire as isolated, or is there a realistic path where this could open the door to a broader de-escalation, including Gaza, and progress on the release of the remaining hostages?
Well, thank you for your question. Yes, I do hope that this end of war with Iran is going to lead for new horizons of peace in the Middle East, including Gaza. You have to remember that Iran was the back of Hamas. Iran sponsored Hamas. They gave them weapons. They gave them what they needed to attack Israel on October 7. We found out, and I think it was published also, a letter from Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas on October 7, and Muhammad Def, writing to the Iranian Revolutionary Guards commander, Izadi, who is dead now also, telling him, sorry for attacking Israel before the time that we agreed to, because we agreed on having simultaneous attack on Israel. We launched this attack, and we hope that Iran and Hezbollah, they wrote also for Nasrallah, will join us to crash the Zionists. So Iran is now deterred, and their facilities were severely hit. Hezbollah was hit by us. Syria, Assad is no longer there. The Houthis were hit. So I believe that Hamas, I hope, is in a position that it will be willing to release our hostages, to come for kind of a deal that will, again, release the hostages and lay down these weapons. I want to explain to you, you know, people are living near Gaza. The family of my wife, she was born in Kibbutz Nahal Oz, who suffered from this attack. Children were killed there, kidnapped, burned. How can we assure them, the people, the Israelis that live, they want to live in peace near Gaza, that they can live in the future without the threat of Hamas? If we stop now and say, okay, you can stay there, you can rearm yourself, and be prepared for another October 7, how can we explain it to them? This is why I hope that now, also with the very, very intensive involvement of the United States and maybe other mediators in the Middle East that are working very hard, maybe we can have also a closure to the Gaza issue. Maybe we can have also some opportunity for expanding the Abraham Accords. And maybe we can have in the future a reality of peace and stability in the Middle East, which is also very, very important, as I see it, to the Japanese interests of stability in the Middle East.
I'll again open it to the floor here. I do have questions on hand if no one raises their hand. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Sho Kawakita from Kyoto News. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question about your reaction to the Iranian president comment days ago in a phone call with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian stated that Tehran was ready to address nuclear concerns within the context of the international framework. He was clearly referring to the establishment of the consortium. Is that something that you could consider as an option to solve this problem? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Our goals with Iran, and I think the goal of the international community, are three. One, no nuclear weapon, nuclear program in Iran. Two, no long-range missile and ballistic missile and UAVs in Iran to threaten Israel and the neighbors. And three, stop of incitement or pushing terrorists and proxies to attack Israel and others in the Middle East and out of the Middle East. If these three goals are met, we can go along. I don't know exactly what's being discussed now. President Trump said 2 days ago that they are going to talk next week with Iran, and I don't know the details of those talks. But President Trump said, and we said very, very clear, and Japan said very clear, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's it. And we have to see how these goals that I said are met with what's going on ground with negotiations. You know, looking at 30 years of negotiations with Iran, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what to expect. So we have to be very vigilant and very cautious about what they say. And then we will address it if needed. If we see that they try to reactivate their nuclear program, trying to hide again what they do, trying to deceive again the IAEA in the world, working again to have long-range missiles program to attack us, or sending again their proxies to attack us, we will take what needs to be done, the actions need to be done in order to prevent it, as I said before.
All right. Any next question? If not, I'll ask one on behalf of Martin Kohling. He's from Handelsblatt. Mr. Ambassador, how would you describe the support of the Japanese government for Israel? What further action would you like to see from the government? And then finally, and how would you describe the media coverage of Israel in the war with Gaza, war in Gaza and with Iran?
Well, first of all, as I said before, I'm grateful for the Japanese government for standing on the right side of history, defending the right of Israel to defend itself, or standing by Israel, acknowledging that Iran is the destabilizer, the number one destabilizer of the Middle East and hub of terrorism, and saying that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. These are very, very important declarations. And I think their stand in the G7 and out of the G7, also on national capacity, are very much welcomed by Israel. There was a phone conversation between Foreign Minister Saar and Foreign Minister Iwaya. They spoke about these things, and these messages was also reiterated by the Japanese side. And we said that we are going to keep each other briefed on what's happening. I think that Japan, as I said before, is a very important player in the new Middle East. I believe and I hope that we are going for a new Middle East. And Japan, that has good relations with all the partners in the Middle East, can be a very active and a very good partner of all of us. We trust Japan, and we thank Japan for standing by us. Now, the question was about media analysis, media coverage of Israel. Well, as ambassador, I always can aspire for more, to be more pro-Israel, because I do think that what we do is just to end the wars and to stop. Nobody wants to see any civilians killed in Gaza. Don't be mistaken. This is not our intention. We try to target only to the terrorists who hide behind human shields, who put themselves under hospitals, while we are trying to avoid it and to call to people to evacuate, as we did in Tehran, as we did in Iran, as we are doing in Gaza now. The other side, Iranians are shooting at our hospitals, and Hamas is shooting at our kindergartens on purpose to kill civilians. That's the difference. And this suffering of Gaza is coming only because of Hamas. Hamas, I don't know how to say it in a different ways, but Hamas is happy to see the suffering of the Gaza people. Because if they are targeted or being hit, the blame will go to Israel. So they will hide under mosques or hospitals or schools, fire at Israel, trying to make us shoot back, and then, unfortunately, hit civilians or people that are involved. And this makes them very, very happy. So the coverage in the world, and also sometimes Japan, is about what happened afterwards, which there are casualties, unfortunately, of people that we don't want. But we are trying, the ratio between hitting civilians or hitting terrorists is 1-to-1. I think it's the lowest in the world, trying to avoid killing civilians. Much better than it used to be in Raqqa and Mosul when the coalition fought Daesh and ISIS. So sometimes civilians get hit. Yes, I know. We don't want it. This is a tragedy, and this is not our intention. We try to hit only, also in Iran and in Gaza, only the terrorists, only the launchers of terrorism, and engineers, nuclear engineers, and facilities to launch missiles. So I hope that in the future the coverage will be also at least balanced and showing also the Israeli side of it. Thank you.
Any questions from the floor? If not, we will continue with our online audience. This is a question from Anthony Raleigh on behalf of the South China Morning Post. Is the fact that Israel possesses nuclear weapons not a sufficient deterrent to Iran from launching its own attack?
Well, this last campaign with Iran, doesn't have any kind of change from our policy that Israel will not be the first to introduce nuclear weapon to the Middle East. Now, these kind of questions, unfortunately, are a deviation from the real threat, which is Iran. They have been lying for years to IAEA. They have been defying the UN Security Council resolutions. They didn't want to have this negotiation, didn't come clean to negotiations with the United States after President Trump said, let's negotiate, let's have 60 days and we can solve it. I think this is the point that we have to focus on. Thank you.
Okay, this question from David McNeil of the Irish Times. Sorry if there was a hand up in the room. I didn't see one. Aid agencies on the ground in Gaza are saying that war crimes are being committed, including starvation of the civilian population. Aid workers are decrying assaults against the civilian population. Mr. Ambassador, do you accept that these accounts are beyond dispute?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Israel is acting according to international humanitarian law. If there were war crimes, why do we give supply to the people there? Why do we continue to bring trucks and trucks of food for the people there? By the way, looted by Hamas, as happened yesterday. They are looting it and stealing it from their own people because they want to have starvation. Why do we give vaccinations to more than 1 million kids against polio? Israel is doing it. Why did we open, together with the humanitarian assistance from the United States, these compounds to have people to come and to get the food they need? Why did we donate yesterday thousands of blood packs to the people of Gaza? Israel have given them thousands of blood packs to Gaza people. Why do we give, before we attack, we give notice, millions of leaflets, text messages, SMSs, whatever. Please go. Don't be there because we are going to attack. This is contrary to war crimes. War crimes are being conducted, are being done by Hamas. They are the war criminals, not us. And I say again, if somebody thinks that a child that was being wounded or killed in Gaza is something that we like or accept, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We do not want to see it. And it happens because Hamas is trying to do whatever it can that their own civilians, because they don't care about the Gaza people. They don't care. Hamas doesn't care about the Gaza people like we care. If you care about them, why do you steal the food that we are bringing in? Why do you loot 70 trucks that was entering Gaza yesterday? Why did you do that? So on the one hand, you try to act according to international humanitarian law, and to provide the needs of the population, to make them go from places that we had to hit because we know that there are depots of arms or terrorists, trying to provide the needs of the people of Gaza. And on the other hand, we are being accused. So I reject it, and I do not agree, absolutely not, with it.
All right, I'm going to ask another question on behalf of our TBS correspondent here. Mr. Ambassador, with Qatar expected to mediate new ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas, potentially with other parties, how does Israel view Qatar's role in the process so far? Is a brokered agreement realistically going to emerge And if so, in what kind of time frame? Qatar has faced criticism for its ties to Hamas. From Israel's perspective, can Qatar serve as a credible and effective mediator?
Indeed, Qatar was an actor that provided money to Hamas and also some support that we had criticism on it. But they did play a role now in the ceasefire between Israel and Iran. And everyone that can now promote achievement of a ceasefire, again, a ceasefire with Hamas, which will include the things that I said, full release of all of 50 hostages, and lay down the weapon, is welcome.
Sir, I'm going to just momentarily switch from the Middle East to developments here in Japan. Prior to coming in, I had asked the ambassador about developments for this year's war anniversary, specifically in Nagasaki. Last year, he can give you the background, but last year he was not invited, to which other ambassadors refused their invitations. If you could tell us more and what the status is of this year's visit.
Well, yes, indeed, last year I was not invited, and it was very unfortunate by Nagasaki, as I wanted to come and to pay respect and to have to stand with the Japanese people for what happened in World War II. And as I was rejected of coming, yes, the United States of America, previous Ambassador Rahm Emanuel was standing and speaking to the mayor of Nagasaki, telling him that if Israel is not invited, because there's no room for BDS or for isolation of Israel, so the United States will not come. And not only that, there was a letter of the G7 ambassadors, and after the refusal, all of the G7 ambassadors did not come to Nagasaki, and most of the EU ambassadors, I think the ambassador of Ukraine and Australia and others, most of the free world said Israel is not going to be isolated, and Israel is not going to be boycotted. This is something that, by the way, it was not a boycott by them. They sent a representative, but not in the level of ambassador. And I went with Ambassador Emmanuel and the UK Ambassador, Julia Longbottom, to an alternative ceremony here in Tokyo to pay respect to the Japanese victims. And I think it was right from it. But this year I was invited by the mayor of Nagasaki. He sent a letter of invitation. And yes, and this ceremony is important, and it will show also the respect of the Israeli people to the Japanese people in this very difficult moment of remembrance and of mutual understanding of the importance of peace. So we will be coming to Nagasaki.
All right, again, opening the floor. If not, I have a question for the ambassador. Sir, you mentioned the expansion of the Abraham Accords. I think it is believed that Saudi was very close to joining shortly before October 7th. If you were to prognosticate which nations would join the accords and how soon?
Yeah, thank you, Dan, for the question. If I tell the names now, it might be difficult for them to go further. But it's not a secret that we would like to have friendly relations and peaceful relations with nations in the Middle East, our neighbors, but also out of our region. And you can imagine who do I speak to, even in Southeast Asia and others, Muslim states and others. Israel wants peace. Israel wants to advance the peaceful relations. Now, these nations, let's talk about the GCC, the Gulf states. One of the obstacles of them, and you saw what happened on October 7, when they wanted to reach out to Israel, when they wanted to settle it once and for all and to have normalization, like the great normalization we have with UAE, with Bahrain, with Morocco, and of course the peaceful relations with peace we have with Jordan and Egypt. So then the proxies of Iran attacked us. To stop it, they don't want to see peace. Iran doesn't want to see peace and tranquility in the Middle East. That's the problem. Now, when Iran is being attacked now, when the number one, the head of the octopus, who has 7 arms to circle Israel and strangle Israel, is gone, or at least deterred, I believe that the Arab states, the Gulf states, will have much more of, I will say, space and opportunities to go further, because the Iranian threat is no longer there. The Iranian nuclear threat is no longer there. And this is why they can, and the Iranian proxies are beaten and cannot attack Israel and them as well. Because the same proxies that attack us, it comes from the same school, Hezbollah and Hamas, of Daesh and ISIS and Al-Qaeda. These are the same ideology of killing people only because they are Jews or Israelis or Americans. That's the only reason. We have to kill you. Or Japanese, if you remember what happened with ISIS before. This cannot be accepted. And we have to marginalize, together with the free world and Japan, these terrorist organizations and the head of them, the instructor of them, which is the mullah regime in Tehran. When they are marginalized, there will be much more opportunities to really have peace in the Middle East and to expand the Abraham Accords. And I believe that in the coming future, I hope, when there is more peace agreements in the Middle East, it will secure the interest of the free world and the interest of Japan. Because nobody will threat Hormuz Straits anymore. Nobody will attack the oil facilities of Saudi Arabia like Aramco, which was an Iranian attack. And then there will be much prosperity and cooperation in the region. This is why I hope for this time to come as soon as possible, and this is why I call to Japan to join this and to push for this new Middle East that I hope that we will emerge out of this war.
I'll open the floor again to those in the room. If not, I have another question for the ambassador. Sir, I think in January, when you were last here, already the prospect at that time with the ceasefire at hand was, how and how much it was going to cost to rebuild Gaza or to kind of address a war 600 plus days long. Does Israel have estimates, or is there kind of plans underway to reach out to the international community as much to start the rebuild when it's possible?
We want to see the people of Gaza live in peace and prosperity and not to pose any threat of terrorism on Israel. That's what we want. Now, I don't have an estimation of how much money it will take, but remember, the world has invested billions of dollars in Gaza through the donors mechanism. Japan also contributed. The world has committed. Israel was okay with it. Why not? Let's do it. We were also supplying their needs. But instead, what happened is that Hamas took over something like 20 years ago. And then all the money that were coming in was not going to education, to build universities, to build new houses, to build factories, shopping malls. It went to tunnels. It went to missiles. It went to arming and to a program of destroying Israel. So the question now, the world, after this war is over with Gaza, the world, I hope, will try to contribute to rebuilding Gaza. By the way, this plan of Trump, if people want to live and live in good conditions out of Gaza, why not? If they want in their own free will to go out of Gaza, why not? And live in places that will accept them, of course, not by force. But for the people that stay there, I think we should be very vigilant and see that if we invest money, or the world invests money now, it will not go again to terrorism. And this is why I'm saying that terrorism cannot prevail in Gaza anymore. And this is why, I don't know if I said it before, but if you remember Golda Meir, the Prime Minister of Israel, who said once, if the Arabs lay down its weapon, there will be peace. If Israel lays down its weapon, Israel is going to be destroyed. That's the difference. And after October 7, the lesson that we had from this, after the Holocaust that we've suffered so much, of 6 million Jews that were exterminated by the Nazis, we have only one lesson: history repeats itself. And to make sure that history will not repeat itself, we have to make sure that not Iran, nor Gaza, nor Lebanon, and nor Syria and other places will pose a threat to the sheer or mere existence of the state of Israel. And this is why we have to take these actions. Sometimes, as I said, diplomacy has its limit. You cannot talk forever. Talking is not the goal. You can talk and talk and negotiate, and at the end, North Korea has nuclear. And that was exactly what Iran was trying to do. Talking and deceiving and playing for time and more time and another report and no action, and that's it. And one day, we all could have woke up in the morning and a nuclear test in Iran. And then what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? Imagine the strength and the enormous danger in the Middle East of their proxies. Because the Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas would have felt much safer now when they have their patron nuclear. And I hope also that what happened now with Iran will also have an influence on your neighbors here in Asia. That this is not the way to threat others and to use force to impose your wills.
Well, I'm going to take the liberty to ask one more question, perhaps the last we can get in today. In kind of your chronology of what's happened basically over the last 5 months or so, obviously Syria, regime change there, success for Israel in its efforts against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and specifically looking at Hezbollah now. Do they remain a threat? Are I believe you had a ceasefire with Hezbollah. What's the prospect of that can even find another step towards a sustained peace?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dan. The purpose of Hezbollah was to serve as the long arm and the major arm of Iran. If Iran is attacked, like happened now in the 12 days war, Hezbollah was to get the instruction immediately: attack Israel. Attack Israel by invasion, and by missiles. They used to have more than 150,000 missiles. But what we did in the past year, especially in September of 24, we call it 10 days in September, we attacked very, very severely their arsenal, missile arsenal, and also we've eliminated their leadership by Nasrallah and others. And what you saw now is that after Iran was attacked by us as a preemptive strike, and a strike of self-defense, Hezbollah didn't do anything. Hezbollah said, we are not going to do anything. And I think we see something very interesting happening in Lebanon. Because Lebanese president said, I do not want to have anyone holding weapon in Lebanon and shooting Israel. This is not our war. And that's exactly what we want to say. Yes, this is not your war. Israel wants to have peaceful relations with Lebanon in the future. Why not? I want to eat hummus in Beirut. I want Lebanese to come to visit my beautiful country. Why not? So Hezbollah still have some missiles, some capacities. But I hope that we will not have the will, and I hope in the future that 1701 resolution of the Security Council will be implemented fully. And there will not be any other force but the Lebanese army to hold the weapons. And there won't be Hezbollah to threaten us and to make Lebanon again suffer. Because Israel, unfortunately, had to show its might and strength. And we've shown it to everybody in the Middle East. Please don't threaten us anymore, because we will strike you. Let's live in peace. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu said this will be peace out of strength. You have to be strong, and then your neighbors and others will respect you and have peace with you. Yes, we want peace. But it's not peace for endless negotiations and diplomacy. It's peace that everybody has to respect each other. I do hope that as all of us, as Israel has one arm under one government, as Japan has one arm under one government, as the United States, there won't be any militias like Hezbollah in Lebanon. And in the future, there will be dismantle of their capabilities, and we can live in peace and security for Lebanon, because the Lebanese people also deserve peace, also deserve prosperity. And all of the region, people in the region, including the Iranian people, deserve this. And they deserve their money to be invested in universities, in science, in technology, in good things. You know, there is a very interesting scale. I don't know if we have it here, but to show Iran and Israel back in the 80s and in today, after the Islamic Revolution. And you saw the GDP per capita, Israel and Iran, more of the same back then. But you see that Israel now, where it stands, one of the highest income per capita in the world, more than 54,000 per capita, while you see where Iran is there, just a few $1,000s per capita. Why did it happen? It happened because you invest in missiles, in nuclear facilities. They've spent $500 billion, $500 billion, $500 billion in their program of enriching uranium and fissile materials and missiles, and invested in Hezbollah and their proxies. Why? You could have taken this money and invested in your people, like Israel did. Israel had also to invest in our army because we had to defend ourselves, but this is why. And this is very unfortunate. I'm not saying it's as pride or to humiliate or to say bad things, but no, the Iranian people should have deserved better than this. And this is a tragedy. And I hope that the Middle East will come to a new era of peace, of moderation, and of living side by side in security and in peace. Thank you.
Well, with that, we'll conclude today's press conference. As we did in January, Mr. Ambassador, we want to thank you for your time and your comments today, and extend your honorary membership to this club even longer. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.